Hello everybody, welcome back to the Vintage Workshop. My name is Jeff. Guys, as promised in the last video, I had shown you my big Greenlee Slick. It's a 3-inch slick. These are big, heavy-duty chisels, typically used in boat building, but also used in timber framing and also used in larger joinery situations. And I mean, this is not a tool that you whack on the end with a mallet. It's actually a tool that you can register like this and literally use like a plane to make fine shavings off the end of tenons for fitting things. And you know, having a 3-inch wide iron, as long as you have it nice and sharp, you can do a lot of great work with these. And I've had the opportunity to use somebody else's, and I've always wanted to get one of these. I've got smaller timber framing chisels, 2-inch, 1.5 inch, 1 inch, and also some skew chisels, but I've never had one of these, and I finally got the opportunity to pick one up. As you guys know, I'm a big fan of the old vintage stuff, and all of my, well, not all of them, but most of my woodworking chisels that I've accumulated over the past couple of decades are of Greenlee brand. Really for two reasons. One, sentimentality. Rockford, Illinois is less than an hour away, and the place where those chisels was made is literally within an hour's drive of here. And of course, they're no longer in business, or at least that version of the company is no longer in business making those fine tools. But also and mainly because the quality of the steel that they put in all of their tools was outstanding back then, and this is no exception. Very hard, very durable steel, sharpens well, holds an edge for a really long time, and that's been indicative of all the bench chisels, butt chisels, mortising chisels, etc. that I've accumulated. Even my recently purchased last year draw knife also has, you know, really fine quality steel, and I've already started on this one, and it's no exception. So enough talking. I told you guys I was going to show you how to recondition this. Your typical sharpening setups will obviously work in any size, but once you start getting to, you know, a chisel this size, you know, you could be there all day if things are a little out of whack. And in this particular chisel, the bevel that was ground on here by whoever owned it was the last user, whatever. First of all, it's not sharp at all. I mean, it was dull as dull gets, and also it was ground at a 45-degree bevel, which of course is ridiculous. You're not going to do much good work on any kind of hardwood or softwood with a 45-degree bevel. So I need to change that, and I'm going to go ahead and show you guys my setup. Now, I've already got it all set up, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you one great way of using a belt grinder and paying attention to you know, the heat that you're transmitting onto the tool so that you can get the grunt work done as quickly as possible. If I were to take this to a stone or to sandpaper, boy, I don't know how many days it would take me, but it would take a really long time to regrind a bevel like this, and my fingers probably wouldn't have too much skin left on them. So I'm going to show you guys a faster way, and let me take you over to the belt grinder, show you my setup, and then I'll show you a little bit of sparks flying, and give you a little bit of information about what to pay attention to so that you don't overheat the tool and lose the temper. So let me push you over there, and I'll bring you right back. So tight quarters in the shop right now, but hopefully that light that's in that window that's right behind my grinder is not going to get in the way of a quality photo for you guys. What I've got is I've taken an angle block from my metalworking side and set it up on the table of the belt grinder. First, I took that little table and I made sure that it was dead square in both directions, both horizontally and vertically, to the platen of the belt grinder. And then I went ahead and I took, if you guys had watched the plane making tools video, the tools of a plane maker, you guys have seen the acute angle setup that I have for measuring angles. And what I've done is I've taken this, set it at 25 degrees, which is the primary bevel that I want, and went ahead and marked a line across the table at 25 degrees to the platen. And now what I've done is I've aligned the backside of this angle bracket, which I know is 90 degrees because it's been machined and surface ground to that angle. And this is woodworking. It doesn't have to be exactly perfect. This is, you know, we're not worried about a 10,000th of an inch here. But so I went ahead and set this up, and as you can see, I've got it clamped to the table. So what I've got there is I've got a nice 25-degree angle so I can insert the chisel in sideways. So I'm going to go ahead and move you out a little bit, and I'm going to show you a little bit about what it looks like when this thing is going like this. So if you guys ever want to try it yourself, you have an idea of what to expect. So what I've got here is using this angle bracket, this angle block, set up as a fence to hold the chisel square so that the bevel ends up being straight across and at a 90-degree angle to the sides of the chisel. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to be grinding the bevel this way. Typically you're going to go the other way, but it really doesn't matter. I'm just going to go ahead and get this bevel ground so that I have a good 25-degree angle, and then I'm going to show you guys how to hone a small micro bevel on here, and then you know, get it set up so that we can actually use the tool. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the grinder on, and then you'll start seeing some sparks flying. And one of the biggest things you got to do, and the reason why I'm doing this barehanded, is you want to be able to keep your hand relatively close up on the top here. And the reason for that is that your fingers are going to tell you when this iron starts getting hot. And when you start feeling a hot feeling in your hands, you're roughly a couple of 100 degrees heated up, and you don't want to ever get this thing over tempering degree temperature, which is, you know, north of 400 degrees. So by doing that, pulling it away, and you've got options of either dunking it in water, and I do have a little water tank down there that I can dunk it in, but what I also have is a very large cast iron table here. My table saw is right next to where the belt grinder is, and I'll just go ahead and I'll set this right on top of the cold cast iron because I don't heat my shop at night, and that'll act like a heat sink and draw the heat right out of this thing, and very quickly, within a minute, I can get right back at grinding. So let's stop talking about it and let's start doing it. You always want to, you know, give it a good feel to make sure you're not putting too much heat in there. And I'm sure you guys can see the sparks shooting out the bottom. And very quickly, you guys can probably see that. The shiny spot up here, I mean, that's all brand new grind. And I mean, that would take me 2 hours to get that much steel removed if I was doing this by hand. All right, it's getting warm, so I'm going to go ahead and set it over here on the table. And I'll bring you guys back when I've got the bevel ground so you can have an idea of you know, what it looks like. So here you can see the chisel just sitting on the cold table saw, cast iron top, and that very quickly draws that heat out of there. I just wanted to show you what I was talking about before. All right, I wanted to bring you back and give you a quick update. You know, I'm probably about 10 minutes into the grinding mission, grinding and cooling. And as you can see, I'm developing a nice, clean, even bevel there. I've got roughly between 1/8 and 3/16 of an inch to go. And one thing I wanted to also mention to you guys is that if you're going to use this process, the closer you get to the tip, of course, the thinner and thinner the tool steel is going to be getting here. And because of that, you want to go slower and slower and check and cool down more frequently, because once you get down to a nice razor sharp edge here on the end, it's going to heat up very quickly, and you do not want to burn that tip, because then you're going to have to grind it back and continue to lose metal in order to get back to a properly heat-treated steel. So I'm going to keep going with this, and then I'm going to bring you back when it's all finished. All right, so after a grand total of about 45 minutes, 50 minutes, and that included walking away and actually removing a couple of stuck bolts that I sprayed down with Croil on the big bandsaw restoration and doing a few other things and loading firewood, I got the bevel completely ground. If I had to guesstimate, I would say that it probably took a grand total time of about 15 actual minutes of grinding and one grinding belt. And completely finished, no overheats. I was not dipping it in water until the very end, till I got right down to the actual tip where it was, you know, very thin like a chisel tip should be. And I just want to show you, you know, what the grind should look like. Now, this is not finished. This is just the primary grind of 25 degrees, but this was at 45 degrees, and it was very rough, it was bumpy, and I mean, there was no way to use it in the condition that it was in. So I wanted to show you that. I've still got to flatten the back. I've still got to put a micro bevel on this and hone a polished edge so that it's nice and sharp. This is a paring tool. It's not a pounding tool. You don't use this with a mallet. You use it like a paring chisel or like a big plane, pushing it, and it's great for shaving, you know, tenons and large tenons for like workbenches, big tables where you got bigger pieces and stuff like that. So just another nice tool to have, and of course, you do any timber framing, and it's going to come in real handy with that regard as well. So next up for this is obviously honing and flattening the back, getting it to a nice high polish, and then of course doing the same thing to the bevel. I'm going to make that in a whole separate video because I haven't really covered chiseling, chisel and plane blade sharpening with you guys, and I'm going to show you a couple different ways of going about doing it, and one real nice setup on the cheap that can get you guys going for a really long time and not have to spend a ton of money. So that'll be another video. So for now, thanks for watching. I just want to do a quick video on this, and we'll pick you up real soon with the next video. We will still have a lot more coming on the bandsaw restoration, as well as I'm going to fill in a few odds and ends type videos regarding sharpening and a few other things that I wanted to go over with you guys while we're waiting for parts to clean and all that good stuff. So if you enjoyed this, please hit the like button on the video. You know how much that helps the channel, and I really appreciate you guys and girls watching this, and we'll see you on the next video. Take care.